Today's show was recorded live at The Refinery, Charleston's hub for creative industry. Go to therefinerychs.com to get event, venue, and contact information. Now on with the show. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Shrimp City Report, Charleston's #1 podcast and the LowCountry's #1 podcast on life, living, and entertainment. Today we have Alicia Leland with the LowCountry Shrimp Festival, or is it now the McClellanville Shrimp Festival? What are we calling it these days?
It's the LowCountry Shrimp Festival. It's actually this year was the 48th annual LowCountry Shrimp Festival and Blessing of the Fleet.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
But it's kind of based out of McClellanville. That's where you have the actual festival?
Yes, we do. It's actually at the Robert E. Ashley Boat Landing, which is at the end of Pinckney Street in McClellanville, down there where the town hall is. So if you're trying to find us, you turn off of the highway and just drive to the end of Pinckney Street and you run right into us.
Crazy. So are you a native then to the LowCountry?
I am. I was born and raised in McClellanville, so did a short stint in downtown Charleston at the College of Charleston, lived in Mount Pleasant for a few years, but found my way back to the village.
Awesome. Yeah, let's dive in. It's a fundraiser completely, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's a fundraiser for our local public charter school. It's the Cape Romaine Environmental Education Charter School, or CREEKS as we call it, because that's also a mouthful. So yeah, all the funds we raise go directly back to that school. And that's also where a lot of our volunteers come from, is from the school.
Yeah. So CREEKS, you said it's environmental. Is that kind of the curriculum there, or is it just encouraged?
No. So everything's kind of centered around an environmentally themed curriculum. So it's a project-based learning environment. The kids get to spend a lot of time outside and do a lot of projects where they learn about the local environment and how to help it and protect it.
How did the festival get started then? And I guess how has it evolved since then?
Sure. So it actually started in 1976, which if you do the math, you'd see that we missed 2 years due to COVID. So we should be on our 50th. But it started to benefit a small private school that used to be in McClellanville that is no longer around. So it was started as a fundraiser for that school by a group of parents, including my parents. So,
oh, wow.
And grandparents, if you go back a little ways. So yeah, it started as a kind of a small fundraiser for the school, and it's just grown every year since. And like I said, once the private school closed down and the charter school took over that campus, we just rolled right in and started donating the funds to them.
So I got to learn more about McClellanville. Y'all must have a big industry for this to be such a big event, right?
Yeah, so we've got one of the largest fleets on the East Coast for sure. I wish I knew the size of it. I should have probably researched that before I came in here, but definitely one of the largest fleets on the East Coast remaining. We've got 2 commercial docks that process shrimp, Carolina Seafoods and Livingston's Bulls Bay Seafood.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely, commercial fishing is the largest employer in town, almost one of the only employers in town, between shrimping, crabbing, oysters, clams, and just other commercial fishing. So it's a pretty big deal in our community.
Does the majority of that seafood stay within the region, or does it make its way out of the LowCountry?
Oh, it's making its way all over the place. It does. A lot of it does stay locally. You're eating in a lot of our local restaurants, the good ones, the ones that sell local seafood. But yeah, we are processing and packing and sending it out as well.
It reminds me, when you were mentioning, the restaurants that sell local seafood, there's a whole nother series of podcasts that could be about Shrimpgate in Charleston, at least.
Yeah.
Because of the sting on that. So, I mean, I guess something like that, you really want to encourage people that are in the LowCountry to sell local shrimp. So.
Yeah, and for the consumers to ask the question, ask where it came from and make sure you know what you're eating. Like you said, we could do a whole podcast on that, but I don't think we've got time to get into it. But yeah, but it's important for us to kind of shine a spotlight on them, on our local fleet, and make sure that people know they're still out there and they're still working hard, and it's important for us to support them.
Yeah. So you got to talk about tradition. We kind of hit on it about education and stuff. When the school was no longer the main target of support, what made y'all switch and continue the festival?
Well, there was never really a thought that the festival could go away, and it
Mm-hmm.
was really a pretty simple and an easy transition. It just kind of fit seamlessly in with the mission of the charter school.
Yeah.
We did, adapt our practices a little. And in full disclosure, I'm also on the board for the charter school. But we adapted our mission a little bit and tried to become a little bit more green as a festival to kind of dovetail in a little bit better with the school itself. So it was an ideal partnership. So that the school is able to participate. Actually, that the kids help peeling shrimp for the festival. They have a yes, forced labor is something we're big fans of. So there was never any consideration when the one school was kind of sundowning that the festival would go away. We knew that the charter school was coming up, and we knew that we wanted to support them.
Getting into planning and preparation and the organization itself, how long do y'all have to plan or head for something like this? I mean, it seems like a lot of shrimp you got to get ready. So
So it's funny. We joke after the shrimp festival. We all say we go into hibernation for a while, and we it's don't talk to us about the shrimp festival until January. We don't want to hear it. But it's kind of become a well-oiled machine. We've got a great team, and everybody kind of knows their job, and we have it's everybody knows what they're supposed to do. And come January, the machine kicks into motion, and we all start doing our part. And we all laugh. We have certain contacts in our phones that we only talk to at this time of year. We have them named based on what they do. For instance, I'll give a shout out to my friend Beer Julius. He's saved in my phone like that because that's how that's how I know how to find him. Porta Potty Matt, Bagpiper Bill. That's how I have people in my phone. So it's really great how everybody just kind of picks up the ball and runs with it and does what they're supposed to do. And come Saturday, everything comes together.
So is it pretty, I guess, I wouldn't say go as far as saying smooth sailing, but everything is easier each year, or does each year bring some new challenges as far as planning goes?
I wouldn't say it's never easy. Every year, yes, it seems like every year something kind of interesting comes up. For instance, this year we're always all stressing about the weather. Those are the things that you can't control. Everybody knows, like I said, everybody knows their job and knows what they're doing, and we're really fortunate to have. I have to give a shout out to Jamie Westendorf, who comes out and fries all of our shrimp for us. We couldn't do it without him. We have the guys from Allendale Green, Eddie White's team, come out and we hire them. They come out and help us with all of our tents and our sound for our bands. So, with people like that, they kind of make our lives a lot easier.
So you mentioned having contacts with what they do in front of them. How many people have the name just shrimp in front of? Because I imagine you have like a lot of fishermen where you're getting your supplies and all that stuff. Or I guess how do vendors, I guess the locals come to you for that sort of thing? Or do you know everyone by now?
Well, I mean, I hate to say this or admit this, but it's a small town. They're all family.
Yeah.
So I know them all pretty well, so I don't have to save them by names like that. But actually, I am delighted to say that is not my department. I don't have to source the shrimp. That is one thing I don't do. So that's not my department. But we get all of our shrimp through Carolina Seafood. They help us out. They are, of course, local shrimp. They are not. Everybody asks, are they fresh? They are frozen because we never know when the shrimp season is going to be coming in. So, full disclosure, they are frozen from the season previous, unless we are lucky and they are able to go out and catch them for us just before. But sometimes they're frozen, sometimes they're fresh. Just depends on when the season opens. So, don't want anybody to say, how are you having fresh shrimp when the season hasn't opened? And, full disclosure, but they are definitely local shrimp.
The blessing of the fleet is part of the event, right? Is that tell us about what that is?
Sure. So we have members from all the different local churches, all the clergy from the local churches come out onto the community dock, and in turn, they take turns blessing the boats as they parade by down Jeremy Creek. So it's an actual, they say a little prayer over each boat, spray some holy water out towards them. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a little blessing. They wish each boat safe and bountiful season, and the boats are of course loaded down with revelers and people having a good time, just like you would expect. And the crowds on the shore are cheering them on. And yeah, it's a great time. It's a really pretty part of the day.
So being a tight-knit community, I assume most everyone in town's usually there. How does it support the local economy, the actual shrimp festival? I assume it's good for tourism as well.
Yeah, so all the local businesses really close that day because they all want everybody that comes to town to support the festival, and they want to come and support the festival. But a lot of the people that come to the festival have never been to the village before. They think of McClellanville as that blinking light or that speed trap on Highway 17. And when they actually make that turn and drive into the town and see how pretty it is, they want to come back. So we do have a couple of local restaurants and shops and a little museum and obviously the seafood markets. So people they come in, they see how pretty it is, and they want to come back. So it's definitely a draw for tourism for the local businesses.
For 50 years in, you probably have a lot of return people. So what's the estimated crowd that you would say that you think are coming up? In the thousands?
Yes, I would say it's very hard to estimate because it's a free event. We don't sell tickets. So people just walk in and walk out throughout the day. The event is spread over 6 hours, so it's not like at any given time we can look out and guesstimate a crowd. And this is a big range, but I would say anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 people, depending on the year. And you have to think, this is a town of 550 people. So, we're talking almost 10 times the population coming into town. So it's a pretty big deal, pretty big event.
So for any of these 5,000 or so people, what are some of the highlights? What are some of the must-do things while they're at the festival?
Yeah, so we have, well, obviously there's the food. People come for the food. We have, not to sound like, Bubba Gump here, but we have fried shrimp and frogmore stew, and the kebabs are always a big hit. We also have barbecue and hot dogs and stuff for people who don't eat shrimp. But we also have, and live music. We have 2 great bands this year. But we also have, I think this year we're up to about 60 local craft vendors that are selling their wares. And they come and they pay a small fee and they sell their stuff and keep all of their own proceeds. So we get a lot of people who come to shop. I'll say it's a great place to find a Mother's Day gift if that's something you need to do, because it's usually the weekend before Mother's Day. So yeah, you see a lot of people walking around with shopping bags. And yeah, but a lot of people come to stand, on the side of the creek and drink a cold beer and listen to music and eat some good food.
Are there any new, festival things or new features y'all are adding to the festival this year, or any changes?
Not really many changes this year. It's kind of, we're kind of not stuck in our ways. We're always looking for ways to innovate and change, but it's kind of, we've got a formula, and
if it ain't broke.
And we're kind of limited based on our footprint and our size and how much we can do and how much we can fit in. So we kind of like to stick with what we know, but it's a good time and a good party. So I always tell people to bring their dancing shoes and, come up and just have a good time on the water and for a good cause.
That's great to hear. Or do you have like any, I guess, memorable moments from the past festivals or anything that sticks out in your head?
We always have relatively well-behaved crowds. There's always
Hmm.
some fun people watching, the interesting people walking around with parrots and iguanas on their shoulders and some really bad dancing. And there was the year that the gentleman tried to drive in through the middle of the festival in an El Camino and launch a boat at the landing. And that year happened to be a year I was 8.5 months pregnant, and I was
Hmm.
standing in the middle of the road as he was driving towards me, trying to, launch his boat. That was a memory, but it's luckily, like I said, everybody's usually pretty well behaved, so we don't really have any crazy stories to share. It's usually just everybody having a good time and behaving themselves.
That's crazy.
The El Camino really added to it.
Oh yeah. Not the pregnancy.
Well, yeah, that was yeah, he was probably scared of the crazy pregnant lady standing in front of him too, but yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned weather earlier. How are y'all adapting? Or I guess is it can you adapt to stuff like this? I mean, the low country itself, it's changes daily. Like
Yeah,
what sort of planning do y'all do for that?
it's we're rain or shine, and I just put on your deck boots and you bring your rain jacket. It's not gonna rain all day.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the weathermen told me, he said, "We might lose out on the witch contingent because they melt if they get wet, but otherwise, come out."
Yeah.
There's tables set up under the town hall down there for where people can eat out of the rain. All the vendors set up under their own tents, so there'll be places to get out of the rain if you need to, if it starts really to rain. But I'm hoping and just crossing my fingers that it's not gonna be a total washout. I think it's gonna I don't know. There's nothing we can do about it. So we're just gonna cross our fingers that it rains early and clears up and we still have a good time. Regardless,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Looking ahead for 2027 or I guess 2028. So you said you would like sticking to what y'all know. Is there any big ideas though you have maybe down the road that you're thinking of for the festival?
I would like to think that we could come up with something fun for the 50th
Hmm.
when we get to that one in 2 years, even though it should have been this year if it had it not been for COVID. But I don't know what that would be. We've got some time to think about it.
Okay, yeah.
But we're always trying to come up with something fun and something new. But like I said, with our space limitations and our size limitations, we're kind of tied. But I promise you, if you come out, it's a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. How can people learn more about the festival? Social media, website, any other
Yeah,
contacts?
yeah. Look us up on Facebook at Low Country Shrimp Festival. We also have a website, lowcountryshrimpfestival.com. Those are the best places to find out information. The main question we get every year is what time is the blessing? It's
Hmm.
at 4 o'clock this year. So yeah, any questions? We're real responsive on our Facebook event page, and we also have a frequently asked questions section on there. So check that out and come up and see us on Saturday.
All right. Sounds great. Well, this is the Shrimp City Report signing off once again on a thematic podcast today. All right. We'll see you next week.